fencers could probably, number 100 could beat number 1. It really is very difficult to call things. ANDRYUSHINA is having a great day. This is on the back of a few good results recently, so it's not totally out of nowhere. Shu in Barcelona went out in the first round in the 64 to Leonora McKinnon. So she's not unbeatable.
She's had some hiccups. Is that what you're trying to say?
She's had some hiccups, and this, actually, I think Leo fenced very well, but yeah, she's not indestructible.
Well, I've said it before. I'm sure I'll say it again. On paper, it looks like Zhu should be the winner, but they fence on a piece. They don't fence on paper.
So you can see ANDRYUSHINA's very well-balanced fencing stance on guard position. She's very calm, very small movements, difficult to sort of panic her, make her do any rash movements with her blade. Very neat.
You're saying ANDRYUSHINA has come off some good results. She has some good results here. She knocked out her teammate in world number 2, Violeta Kolobova, in the round of 16, and followed that up with a win over Shina Lam of Korea, world number 10 in the quarterfinals.
Well, I expect she wants her individual place for the Olympic Games.
And that is exactly what she's fighting for. Zhu is the Asian champion. She's also a bronze medalist at the World Championships along with Bez back in Moscow, but so far hasn't appeared on a podium this season.
Now, if you see that, right, I didn't realise that. She there really showed determination in pushing through. Her first long lunge failed, but she did what it's called a reprise. She went around the other side and continued with another re-lunge to hit ANDRYUSHINA in the end. So, very impressive attack there.
Do you often see reprising in épée? Is that when you've lunged and your opponents run away but not quite far enough, and then you see the opportunity to do the back foot recovery effectively? You bring your back foot up and lunge again.
You don't often see it. Usually you'll do a remise, which is without bringing your back foot up and sort of lunging again, or you'll turn it into a fleisch attack. Actually doing a reprise is rare. I don't see it very often, but she does love it. They're great lunges, and she loves doing them. As you saw, that she then followed that up with an accelerated step lunge. So it means she speeds up with the use of her step into that favourite attack of hers.
Well, it's becoming a bit of a trademark here of the Russians with a very upright on guard position,
very balanced,
neat footwork. And a bit of a scrappy one there.
She must be angry. You can see from her body language, shoes hitting herself in the mask.
Yeah, several goes from both fencers.
Ooh.
And it looked to me that Zhu there had actually picked up the blade and had control of the Russian's blade.
You've got to never stop. That's better, more like it.
So it's all about ranking points here for both of these fencers, with the Russians and the Chinese qualified as teams for the Olympic Games. They're fighting for a place in the team. One would say that Zhu has probably done enough to make that Chinese team.
I expect so. I think that her place is more sort of stable, more guaranteed than ANDRYUSHINA in the Russian team, with Loganova, Shutova, and Kolobova, and there are other strong Russians.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that I wouldn't be at all certain if I was ANDRYUSHINA that I was in the team. So I'm sure she'll be really wanting this result.
Well, this result is going to count a long way, as we see in the crowd there. Some of the great and the good of the International Fencing Federation when we return to the piste. And this is the view that the coach will have looking down the piste. Ju's end there, looking down to ANDRYUSHINA. Looks calm, doesn't she? She looks really calm.
Hardly breaking a sweat. That's how cool works. So Shu likewise, I would say.
Yeah, doesn't look too worried there. Just looking at the rankings now, and ANDRYUSHINA is actually the third highest ranked Russian on the world rankings. But we don't know how the Russians select their team. Some teams have they take the number one in terms of ranking, and their ranking is not necessarily going to be the same as the international ranking, but number one on the ranking, and then 3 places up by discretion.
Yeah, and she's not one of the youngest. They may have good tier for taking younger fencers, and she's not one of the most experienced at high level. Shootover, I think, has done a lot more championships than her, so I'm not sure it would be certain.
Well, what about the likes of Tatiana Gudkova, double junior world champion?
Well, exactly. Yeah, if she's up and coming, so she could be a threat as well.
Well, back to the action here. It's ANDRYUSHINA who's trying to stake her claim on making that Russian team. But Anki Zhu seems to have just found a little bit more balance and poise here.
So we see that in the replay. That was an octave very firmly taken by the Chinese. I wouldn't like to be on the other end of that, with a riposte firmly into the chest. So very decisive taking of the blade. And again, she took that octave. Unfortunately, ANDRYUSHINA was running past her, so she didn't quite get the riposte.
So Mary's talking about octave. She's talking about a line of a parry. No, not at all. We need to hear these fencing terms and then explain them. But the octave parries, they're essentially high line parries, which is the upper part of your body defending your chest. And then in épée, of course, you've got to defend your legs as well. So you have these they're called low line parries. So anything sort of below the belly button, basically, is what they're looking to do. And octave is one of those parries. So what you're essentially doing is blocking out, if you're a right-hander, the low line to the right-hand side. So anything coming at the front leg. Well, for the sake of time, what's the other low line parry called?
Septine is the other side.
Correct, well done. Gold star for Mary. The language of fencing has its origins in France. So octave, I'm sure you all know, refers to the 8th line, number 8.
So that was it's good to see this on replay. Shu tried to engage and disengage with the fleisch. There's a lot of terminology again, but the Russian managed to disengage faster to get the single. So quite complex blade movements, but finally she got it that time. She's pretending to go on one side of the blade and actually finishing her attack on the other side.
So that's great to see and talk about it while we're watching the replay. When we're talking about engage, she means that one fencer is using their sword to get hold of their opponent's sword and take control of it. The disengage is where they then go underneath it. So you force, if I push against you, you're going to push back against me, and then I release and I can hit you. So it's there is some terminology in there, but if we get the slow motion replay, we get a chance to explain it.
Right, okay. There's that octave again, so that low line taking of the blade. Beautifully done. She just looked like she was waiting for it, didn't she?
Yeah, and we'll see it here on the replay. Like you say, she's waiting, and that octave going round and down with the sword, in layman's terms.
So she just waited for a little forward movement of the Russian. That was all it took to give her the cue to start her attack with octave.
And it's in very simple terms, the taking of the engaging of the blade is just taking control of it long enough that you divert the point of your opponent's sword away from your target, giving you a millisecond of advantage to get your point onto theirs?
Well, I think it's more than that even, because in épée you keep hold of their blade a lot of the time, all the way through. So you're simultaneously hitting them and stopping them hitting you all at the same time, because the angle means that you've got control over their weapon the whole way through the hit. Probably see on the next slow motion replay.
So effectively not deflecting, but actually blocking them throughout your attempt to hit.
Absolutely, yeah. Sometimes the Russian is managing to, get free of it, and that's when she's getting these doubles, but not always.
Well, we go into the second break here as we look at the Russian end of the piece. And what is the coach going to be saying here to ANDRYUSHINA?
I think he's going to be saying you've got to draw that octave, so make her take that parry, give her the blade, and then deceive it, go round it. Because she's going to, very likely the Chinese is going to do the same thing. So give her what she wants, but then be one step, cleverer.
So you're saying that she should allow Zhu to take the blade, or she should wait till she's trying to take it and then avoid?
There are two options. I don't know what he's going to say, but he's going to be saying one of the two: either go around it directly and attack in, avoid her taking the octave, or let her take it and then keep progressing, but with her holding her blade.
Yeah, I've got you. But I'm no expert here, but it looks to me that when Zhu goes, Zhu really goes. So is the first option there?
You can. You'd need to really step in with it and do a seeding parry, it's called, which is very technically difficult, especially at this level, to do, with a hard, strong attack. So I think, given their various physiques, the Chinese are stronger, bigger. I agree. I think it would play more into the Russians' hands to do the disengage, avoiding the taking of octave.
Well, let's see what happens. Final 3 minutes of the second semi-final here in the women's épée at the Budapest Grand Prix, and it's Anki Zhu of China who's commanding things at the moment. But ANDRYUSHINA that time using distance and going to a completely different area of target onto the top of the arm.
We'll have a look at this slow motion replay. Direct attack from the Chinese, and a disengage straight to the shoulder from ANDRYUSHINA. So she perhaps predicted the octave was was not going to work this time. So Chinese was one step ahead, changing things early, but didn't pay off.
So they both now have come out to the piece with different
tactics, a different plan,
based roughly on what happened in the previous round, but then somehow it was ANDRYUSHINA who sort of lucked out, if you like, and got the hit.
But she responded with instinct from lessons. Really, she saw that where she was going. She disengaged and went into it. So it was a very good reaction. And then another long attack from Zhu, but it wasn't good enough to be a single. So got a double hit there. There's a 1-2 attack where you start off one threatening one bit of the target, and then change to another bit. So high-low, she went there. High and low. Gosh, it's almost like a lesson there.
So she's just increased the complexity, if you like, of the attack.
Absolutely.
Trying to draw a block from the Russian in one line and then going to the now newly opened line.
Exactly, which was actually the tactic I thought the Russian was going to do on the Chinese, but very clever fencing from Zhu.
Blocked out by Anki Zhu, but somehow ANDRYUSHINA managed to land on the foot, was it, or somewhere on to go down the leg, maybe.
Yeah, it's difficult to see that one. Unlucky, actually. I would have thought they both went at the same time, but ANDRYUSHINA landed her. Let's see. Yeah, it was just a miss, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked like she missed and then tried very quickly to bring the arm back and recover and, as you say, replace the attack or continue the attack, but just not quick enough.
Not quick enough.
Well, she's clawed her way back into this, ANDRYUSHINA. Final period. Oh, close quarters.
That was back to the beginning, really. Engaged in, so take the blade in one one side and then disengage to the other side. So it's the same as she was doing right at the beginning of the fight.
But not necessarily the neatest of hits that time. Another slightly scrappy one.
I think, you know, she's using her force and power. It's exactly what I would do if I were she. You need to really dominate the blade of the Russian.
Oh, she definitely did that there.
There we go. It's absolutely impossible for the Russian to control the point when she's being blocked out by the Chinese's attack.
You mentioned sealing parries. Was that a sealing parry? Did she take the blade and then bind it round to another line?
I think you're right.
Not a sealing parry, but a bind of the blade.
Yeah, a bind of the blade.
So effectively taking it into one line and then pushing it around into the other.
Yeah.
You need power for that, and great control, of course.
Absolutely, and I think the Chinese's punishing training program looks like it's paying off in this fight.
A double no good for ANDRYUSHINA here, and Zhu is just one away from going into the gold medal match, where she will meet Sarah Bezbez of Tunisia.
So now the Russian looking to attack, and it's all over.
Well done, Anki Zhu, and well done, Tatiana ANDRYUSHINA, who has had a great day, but she's going to have to settle for the bronze medal, sharing it with her teammate Tatiana Luganova. We will see.